Have you ever been surprised by unexpected pushback when you announced a decision to your team, or been blindsided by an aggressive reaction? Somewhere along the way, you didn't catch the signals. And picking up on those signals, being able to read and interpret people's emotions in real time, that's social awareness. And very few founders have it. If you want to be one of them, this video is for you. I'm Renita Calhorn, and I've worked with hundreds of founders to scale as leaders so they can execute on their vision. And today I'm going to share my Jane Goodall technique, the observational framework my clients use to read the room and notice what others don't. One of my clients told me being able to read the room was critical to scaling their business unit to $300 million. So how do you get better at it? Well, you probably spend hours analyzing business metrics and technical data, right? But most founders overlook another kind of data, emotional data, those nonverbal signals that show what's really happening with your team, your board, and other stakeholders. And if you miss these signals, you lose talent, you make bad decisions, and you erode trust without knowing why. So enter the Jane Goodall technique. When Jane first arrived in Tanzania, she had no scientific degree or formal training. She simply started watching the chimps with genuine curiosity. No agenda, no judgment, just noticing details like how one chimp tested the branches, exactly the way a person tests the springs of a hotel bed. I mean, that level of specific, relatable observation, that's what made her great. And you can do the same with the people around you. So here are a few things to look for. First, alliance mapping. Notice what happens in meetings. If you're meeting a person, who always sits together? Who speaks up first? Who jumps in to provide support for someone else's opinion? In one board meeting, for example, I noticed there were 3 investors that kept looking at each other as the founder outlined his strategy. And then when the discussion started, they all piled in with their concerns. And the founder had completely missed this alliance forming, and he wasn't able to get support for his plan. Second, status and airtime. During presentations, watch who speakers look at when they're making important points. They're seeking validation from someone whose opinion matters to them. After tough questions, notice who jumps in immediately versus who waits for certain colleagues to go first. And pay attention to who dominates airtime, talking for 10, 15 minutes straight, while others struggle to be heard or just stay quiet. One team member who was brilliant and introverted told me, if I'm too brief with my comments, people miss my point entirely and go back to listening to whoever talks the most. And the founders never noticed this dynamic. So she left a few months later feeling unheard and unappreciated. Third, micro expressions and what's unspoken. Watch for those subtle tells that people try to hide. The slight pause before agreeing, the quick glance away, the look of slight panic when someone stays quiet. One client noticed this with their co-founder. He seemed lost when discussions got technical, but he wouldn't ask questions. But when someone broke things down, he'd engage more. So she started paying closer attention and making sure to explain when things got technical so he could engage and contribute. Let me show you what this looks like in practice. 2 months after we started working together, a CEO told me, you know, this observing thing is very interesting. He'd called a meeting with one of his executives, and the executive started talking about business, strategy, what they were going to do, all the usual stuff. And then halfway through, my client stopped him and said, why did you really set up this meeting? And the executive looked surprised. What do you mean? And my client said, well, what do you really want to talk about? You've been quiet in meetings. You look like you're going through something difficult. You're one of the most entrepreneurial people I know. Don't let all this external chaos suppress who you are. And the executive was stunned. How did you know that? Thank you. I really needed to hear that. So by tuning into the nonverbal signals, this CEO shifted gears and strengthened a critical relationship. And by the way, his company has since won a Great Place to Work award. So the Jane Goodall approach is simple but powerful. It's about observation without judgment, staying curious about what you don't yet understand, and seeing what others miss. So here's what I want you to do in your next meeting. Just start observing. Take notes on what you notice. Who's sitting together? Who speaks up first? Who's getting validation from whom? Who's dominating airtime while someone else stays quiet? In future videos, I'll show you how to use what you observe, how to intervene in the moment, address patterns, and shift dynamics. But for now, just practice noticing. And if you want to know how you score on social awareness, take the free 5-minute Founder EQ quiz that measures this plus 4 other elements of emotional intelligence. Link is in the description. Until next time, I'm rooting for you.